Welcome back to the lab. Today we're going to start off with showing you how to change the HICAS ball joints on the Nissan Fairlady Z32 300 ZX Z. It's not really a Z. If it's a twin turbo one, it's a ZX, but anyway. First step is not jack up your car. First step is make sure you have the right parts and the tools that you'll need to do the job. So the Nissan manual, I'm pretty sure, is going to tell you you're going to need one of those things that's right in the middle of your screen there, a hydraulic press. You're supposed to take the knuckles out of the car, hub carriers or whatever you want to call them, and press these little puppies out in a hydraulic press. Now that's quite an involved job. That takes a long time. So a few years ago I made something to do the job. It's a puller of sorts. These are actually Lycoming cylinder studs. They go through the crankcase. They hold the cylinders together. Do they go through? Yeah, I think those are the ones that go right through, and I think I shortened them up actually. They're supposed to be a bit longer than that, but anyway, they're your craft parts. That's just a chunk of metal. These are more chunks of metal designed to do certain things. So that end of that there, I made that so that sits in that hole in the end of the ball joint. All right, and it's pretty obvious where we're going with this. When this is all in the car, that goes in there like that. Ta-da! And I think it's that one to start with. Obviously I've got this red wound halfway through the job. That goes over the top of the ball joint. So as you wind on that thread, this end can't go anywhere because it's up against the knuckle, but this end here comes forward and it pushes the ball joint out of the knuckle, and then you don't have to take the car completely to pieces, just change two ball joints. Sometimes they're quite stubborn and you'll need one of, excuse the mess, these. Please come out. That is not going to come out of there. That cord's very tangled. But you'll need a heat gun because aluminum, if you're American, expands faster than steel. So if you warm up the knuckle will go broop, and it gives you more clearance between the ball joint and the knuckle, and then the ball joint comes out a lot easier. Bit of CRC and all that sort of carry on, that will also help your cause. So, and then to put it back together, you'll see I've already partially popped these rubber boots off. Take those off. They'll come off literally with your fingernail if you've got good nails, because you will damage those otherwise. You're going to end up using, I've got this that I've made up that fits over there nicely, and that actually can work with this press arrangement. I can't remember exactly how, but it does. I think I put something else on this other end, which I'm not sure I have that tool here right now, or I might even just use that, put that on the other end. And then that will press that into the knuckle. You can do that. Alternatively, at that point, to put it back in, a little bit of lube on here, and some sort of a device like this, and a very large hammer. Very, very large hammer, and you can beat that back into the knuckle. That's not really the way to do it, but that can be done if you need to. And it is painful. It takes forever. Again, heat gun, lots of heat on the knuckle. Bash, bash, bash. You will get it done, but yeah, it's painful. You're better off to put it in the press or build a thing. Right. Next step is to jack your car up. You'll see I'll turn the car around. It's a bit nasty outside today. The weather is a bit yucky. So I don't want to be working at that end with the door closed because it's too dark and gloomy and yucky. I also don't really want to be working over the top of a roll cage tube, but we'll see if we can move that. So I need to jack that up, axle stands, wheels off to give us more room. You have to take shock absorbers out of the way to get my tool in there to do what we need to do. Let's see if it works. Alright, car's in the air. Axle stands, I leave the jack under there, I take the handle off and put it out of the way, or you'll trip over it. Have a look. Obviously I've popped the rod end attached to the rack end. I've taken that off. I've just used the the real rough tuning fork style remover, which does damage the boot. As you can see, that boot's ripped and torn, falling to pieces. That's from the tuning fork style remover. I've got the other style on the bench, so I'll show you later. Have a look, make sure there's not a circlip on the back here. The factory didn't put them in there. The factory put this washer cap seal arrangement with a bolt in that bolt hole that's in the back. You can't see because it's dark there. They don't use the circlips, but just make sure that somebody who hasn't changed them earlier hasn't, you know, someone who has changed them earlier rather has maybe put a circlip on there, and then you'll just ruin your day trying to get it all apart. We need the shock absorber out of the way for my tool. Got to undo these, pop the shock forward inboard just enough to get your puller on here. You can't hit it out with a hammer or anything. You've got to get the shock out of the way to do that, bare minimum. Aftermarket shocks like these, watch out. I think these are KYBs. No, the RGX. Watch you don't smash off things like this. They'll be old and brittle. Good chance they'll come off. The first Z32, sorry, the second Z32 that I had, one of those valves was busted off. We replaced them with conies in the end anyway, but yep, so that's that. You can tell these are flogged out. I'm not sure if you'll see the movement on the camera, but if you can just do that with your finger, there's a good chance it's done. If you can pull it backwards and forwards, it absolutely is done. And you can do that as long as there's no tension on it. You'll be able to do that with the rod end on there. Just grab it, move it backwards and forwards, flogged, change them. They fail all the time. In the previous video, what, three, 4 videos ago or whatever, I said it's not normally the rack ends that are gone, it's normally the ball joints out here. And in this case, on this car, it was all of them. So that's alright. Let's see if we can get that shock out of the way and have a crack at pulling this out. Okay. Very tricky and probably a little dangerous to show you doing this one-handed. You should see this gap between the shiny part and the old part is getting smaller because the shiny part is pushing that ball joint out of the vehicle. It's not easy. There you go, it's moving. Success. No heat gun on this one, just a bit of CRC. Probably got the long series spanner on there, so we need that much torque. Got a G-clamp holding the shock absorber out of the way. We just need to double check that we're not gouging anything under here, so I'll put the phone down and double check on all that sort of stuff and get that joint out. Yay! Just like magic. One ball joint removed. We'll go take the other one out as well, so we don't have to reconfigure this. Not that it makes too much difference. It's not that hard. And we'll put the new ones in. Cool. Both of those out, no stress. Right, now make sure these are the same as these. Because if they're not, and you try and put them in and there's issues, you're going to start having a real bad day. They look pretty good to me. I'll run the vernier calipers on here just to make sure they're not 1/4 of a mil bigger than those or something crazy like that. And then we'll heat up the knuckles because we want to look after the new ones as we're putting them in. The old ones coming out don't really give a flying rat's tail, shall we say, so that we're not swearing or cursing or whatever. The old ones, when they come out, we were prepared just to grunt them out, for lack of a better word. New ones, we want to look after them on the way in. And as I said earlier, we pop these seals off so we don't damage them, because they will get damaged. You're going to have to be a pretty clever person to do it without hurting those. Unless you're using a press. You can do it in a press, it's easy enough. But if you're using things like this, which tend to try and rotate things, your tool, which is this one I think, it will rotate and it will grab hold of the seal and chomp chomp, yuck yuck, bad. Yeah. Okay, so I measured them, 0.04 of a millimeter bigger outside diameter than the old ones, so they are going to fight a little bit putting them back in, so good idea. We will extract the heat gun from the heat gun trap over here without throwing everything on the floor, and warm everything up. play some, is it Barry Manilow? Get some heat going on. And that's it. Easy as that. On the ground, wheels back on, torqued up, split pins in our rod ends. Oh, I'm not going to get down there and show you. Remember on the compliance papers it asked about the vehicle tear weight? Here's something funny. Can anyone see that? That's interesting. I wonder why they can't take that as being right. I'm assuming they would weigh everything before they put them on the ships. Anyway, never mind. That's done. I'll make a phone call. Man can come pick it up and hopefully it'll finish off its compliance. No further issues. That's everything on the list taken care of. Good as gold. Man will be driving his car soon, hopefully. We should have put these other wheels, the wheels that we had on the March, we should have snuck those on it, those there, just for a laugh. Nah, I didn't want to. Right, that'll do for this one. Okay, cheers, bye.